Hey, we got a great one today. Metallica live in Moscow. Of course, you would think I would have heard this. I've never heard Metallica live. I've heard Metallica and I've heard their songs, and I know Enter Sandman. I remember the video it was super creepy. It would come on in Headbangers Ball. But as you know, if you watch my channel, I grew up listening to rap music, so I'd pretty much be watching BET or Yo MTV Raps or I'd be listening to Hot 94 or whatever was the channel that was playing rap music at the time. But we respected Metallica. We knew Metallica was a thing, and I know a few of their songs, but I never heard them live. But I do have a cousin that really, really loved Metallica, and he told me because he went to the live concert, and he's like, "There is nothing better than Metallica live. Like, there's nothing in the music world better than Metallica live." And I was like, "Really?" And I think I went to like a Stone Temple Pilot concert, and I was like, "Yeah, they were good." And he's like, "There's nothing better than Metallica live." So this is the crazy thing. This is going to be the first time I've ever heard Metallica live. So I am expecting it to be great, but then again, I don't know exactly what to expect, but I kind of expect it to be awesome. But what's going to be cool is I've never heard it before, so put that in a list of things that I've never done, and I could check that one off. So we're going to just go right into it. Metallica, Enter Sandman live, Moscow. Now this is going to be interesting because it was in 1991. And I was like, maybe I was just started high school or, was in high school or whatever year that was. But I was either freshman or grammar school, I forget. But I lived in the city, originally from the city, so Metallica wasn't played that lot. Actually, a lot of folks that were from Mexico, Mexican Americans, had Metallica shirts. For some reason, they just love Metallica. And I didn't even realize until I was older that word, or actually I want to say older, very recently, because I was covering some other music. So I was like, you do realize that's a Spanish name for metal or metallic? And I'm like, oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know if that's the reason why they were so popular, but I know hard rock was popular in Mexico for a long time, so Metallica fits right in. And if the name is like that, then that's probably even more so. But also their shirts were always cool, the Metallica sign with the things on the front and back. So I can't say I don't know Metallica. I do. I just don't recall ever hearing them live. Now I've heard them. I think I've heard them in acoustic live, like on like a late show or something like that. Now the other thing is this is Moscow, and this is right around the time where like these relationships with Russia were starting to like cool off, and kind of the end of the Cold War, and we were like kind of making forward progress with Russia. And Rocky Four, I don't know how much before this, but Rocky Four had just come out, and Red Dawn and stuff like that. The original Red Dawn, not that Red, not that other Red Dawn. Don't ever watch that other Red Dawn. Don't watch that. But Swayze, yes. But to be honest, like I think growing up, we were kind of like, I won't say trained, but we were, we had this feeling of like Russia bad. But then like the ice was breaking, and relationships were starting to change, and this is right around that time. So I don't know what pulled them into Moscow, if it had something to do with politics, but I know Russians love rock music as well. They love the American stuff as well, so maybe this was all part of that. But yeah, really interesting that I never really even knew that they did this. And yeah, I'm gonna get into it. I'm trying to like reminisce a little bit back to that time. Where was my headspace? I mean, I was just chasing girls at the time, so I wasn't really caring so much about Metallica. But I know my cousin went to a Metallica concert, and he said it was the best thing ever. And I believe the best thing ever for a concert for me was one of the Lollapaloozas that I went. But again, Lollapalooza would play rap music as well. There was like first time you ever had like rap and alternative rock and stuff all together in the same place. So it didn't really matter what you listened to. You could go with a group of people and everybody was happy. So I don't know about the Lollapaloozas today. I don't know what they do. They do Coachella and stuff like that. However, yeah, this will be very interesting. I'm just trying to remember back 1991, what this would have been like. How epic this might have been. Let's go listen to the song. color there. I can't believe I've never seen this before. Look at that. I mean, I know Metallica is like one of the greatest of all time, if not. So I expect it. But you see the size. That's a lot of Russians. you could tell. You could tell by the. Yeah, that's a lot of Russians. Insane. Did you see the size of that crowd? Holy smokes. I'm going to have to get on I don't do the Wikipedia, but after this, I'm going to get on the Wikipedia just to see how many people were at that concert. That might be the biggest concert I've ever seen. I think that is the biggest concert ever. I saw a Queen concert that looked big. Well, I didn't see it, but I saw it on video. But that might be the biggest concert that's ever happened. Wow, 1991. This would have been so instrumental, like so powerful in that time of relationships. Like, that's the answer right there. You know, why don't we send Metallica to the border of Ukraine and Russia there and play a concert and tell everybody just go back and just stop killing each other. You know, like even growing up with all the like stuff about Russia, I never really disliked the Russians. Like I understood that our countries were at war and they were adversaries, so to speak. But as the people, you know, I was like, they're very similar to Americans. Like they love Metallica. Americans love Metallica. They like blue jeans. Americans like blue jeans. They're Orthodox Christians. Americans are mostly Christians. So it was like I didn't see the huge difference. And I still don't, to be honest. That might offend some people, but like I said, I never really had anything negative. I understand governments. Governments do all kinds of messed up things, but that's not necessarily the people themselves, right? But think about Metallica going in to a communist country and just rocking the American metal to the core. And then the reaction of the people, that must have sent some like shivers up the spine of kind of the Russian leaders at the time. Like they could amass that many people rocking along. Like that's bigger than any army right there. I mean, holy smokes, man. Like, you know, some of them look like they were in the military, like with the hats and everything too, and they were rocking out too. It's like just send Metallica, it'll get world peace. Who would have thought? Enter Sandman could cause world peace. Yeah, I just wish we could all just stop doing these things that we're doing and find ways to work this stuff out without the warfare that's been going on. It just needs to stop in all different regions. You know, they talk about just war. What's a just war? And all those things depend on perspectives, I guess. So if you're a Russian subscriber and you were at this concert or you know somebody who's at this concert, please type something in the comment section and let me know. Like, what would that been like for you guys? Like to have Metallica show up and rock a concert like that, especially with everything going on with your government at the time and the United States. Like, wow, how come I never knew this one? Also, I'm gonna have to call my cousin too, because I'm gonna be like, hey, bro, did you know that they went to Moscow? I'm sure they've probably gone since then, because those relationships are open more than they used to. But I don't know the last time they've been there. But yeah, obviously the Russian people love Metallica, and I had just been covering some Metallica music because I've been covering The Warning, another rock band from Mexico who does a cover, Enter Sandman, which is a really, not even a cover, it's a recreation of the song. And it's a really cool version. Like if you heard that by itself, you would just say that's a beautiful song also. Just a hardcore rock song. And those girls are just phenomenal. Maybe they'll go to Russia next and bring about peace. But yeah, I mean, like, looks like I would probably know Metallica. I should, but like I said, I grew up listening to rap music, and then I went overseas for most of my life and lived on island, so I didn't really get into it that much. Of course, Metallica made it through the airwaves, and all their popular songs I've heard or know most of them. I would say I know probably 10 Metallica songs, and I don't know every lyric, but Enter Sandman's one of them. I know that one. I think everybody knows, one of the most popular songs of all time. But I just couldn't believe the size of that crowd, man. It was just a swarm of pink. I guess it was summer because people had their shirts off. Or I don't know, man. Russians will take their shirts off in any weather. I just remember I was in a hotel one time and we were on a tropical island. They had this ice bath, and then they had a sauna, and there was a bunch of Russian tourists in there. And they were just swimming in the ice bath like that was the pool. And I'm like, dude, that's not the pool. That's you dunk and then you go into the sauna, and then you go into the regular pool. You don't swim in the ice like a polar bear. It didn't even phase them. It didn't even phase them. I was like, okay, you know. So yeah, they were a little bit confused about what to wear as far as clothes, like bathing suits and stuff. It was like they had to learn it on the fly. But yeah, I just want to say, all the stuff that goes on with with the governments and stuff between American people, Russian people, Ukrainians, just as a people on the people level, we have no animosity towards one another. A lot of this is to do with things that are well outside of our control. And, I hope these things are resolved very soon because it's gone on long, way too long. Maybe we need to send Metallica out there and maybe that will help things. But again, if you're even from the Ukraine, tell me what you think about Metallica, or if you're from Russia. I would really love to know if you were there at that time. What was going on in the newspapers? What were people saying before and after? How did that all go down? That would be an interesting story to tell from your perspective. I would appreciate you do that. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Be there when I premiere. I'll be premiering this song live in the chat. We can chat in there. And if you can't speak English, you want to use Cyrillics, go ahead and put Cyrillics in. I'll translate it, and then we'll figure it out from there. We've got all this AI stuff, so now we can communicate, and that's great. If you're a big-time Metallica fan, let me know. If there's another Metallica live, I'll do another live, I guess, somewhere that I probably don't know that I should know. And I would say that from a bucket list standpoint, I saw Metallica live on YouTube, but perhaps one day still I might see them live in concert. And yeah, I could see why I would want to do that. Even if you don't listen to heavy metal all the time, it would be once in a lifetime opportunity. And I guess my cousin was right. Finally, once he was right. Because, he chose the Dallas Cowboys, not the Giants. So, he wasn't right about that. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm the Wolfhound. I'm out.